We got a quick alert, sir. SPX-1 detects a ballistic launch.
From where?
Pacific.
Low probability, Louisville, St. Louis. Medium, Chicago. High, Cleveland, Columbus. That's primary, of course. Still assessing prevailing winds.
We have weapons release authority to launch our GBIs.
Activate launch. Second EKV has failed to separate. 3, 2, 1.
Confirm impact.
Come on, what are you waiting for?
It's negative. Object remains inbound.
We did everything right, right? Right? We did every fucking thing right!
Well, we received instructions to initiate our joint emergency evacuation plan.
Right.
Are you telling me we're at war all of a sudden? With who?
In a house of dynamite, the United States faces an unprecedented nuclear threat as a nuclear bomb was fired at Chicago from an unknown sender. The White House Situation Room scrambled to prevent the disaster, but the president hesitates. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more cinematic recaps like this. Now, let's dive in. Olivia was playing with Liam, who was running a fever, when her husband Michael came inside to take the boy to the hospital while she prepared to leave for the White House. At the same time, Davis, a key military operative assigned to the White House Situation Room, rode the bus toward work while watching a video of himself and his girlfriend. When Olivia arrived at the White House, security screened her bag before letting her inside, and she met Abby, the new worker on duty. She left her phone behind and entered the Situation Room, where the system was malfunctioning, and the team went to call the repair crew. Davis walked in soon after and told Olivia he planned to get a ring after work. At the operations center, Stratcom detected a ballistic launch and reported it to Olivia. The chairman, Miller, asked her what was happening, and she explained that Stratcom was tracking a launch near the Pacific. They asked Lieutenant Danny for the Stratcom reading, which was showing an indeterminate signal because the DPS satellite missed the launch. Olivia set up a conference call with all United States heads, and the discussion focused on the ICBM detected over the Pacific as they tried to determine whether it was launched from land or sea. They expected a splashdown somewhere in the Sea of Japan, but further calculations from the other lieutenants confirmed that the launch was heading toward the United States. Baker received information that the impact point was inside the continental United States and that it was not an error because multiple radar systems were tracking it. They had 19 minutes to impact. Olivia told Davis to add the Secretary of Defense and the President to the call. Danny then received a call from the Weapon Release Authorization Unit instructing them to launch their ground-based interceptors. The confirmation of DEFCON woe sent fear through the room, as none of them had experienced it before. Miller calmed the team and told them to stay focused, and Davis informed Olivia that the President was on campus while Watt had been notified and was adding the Secretary of Defense to the call. They brought Stratcom up on the wall display, and the Russian and Chinese lines were missing from the system. The Operations Center opened their clamshell, and the Secretary of Defense appeared. Baker insisted they initiate a launch and start moving people immediately. The Situation Room received a list of cities the missile would likely affect, since the exact destination was still unknown. Meanwhile, Kathy, a Federal Emergency Management Agency official, received an emergency alert on her phone and saw that a drill had been issued. She reached Olivia and demanded to know what was happening, explaining that they had received instructions for an emergency evacuation plan and could not leave without answers. Private security then arrived looking for Miller, informing him that he needed to be moved to the Presidential Emergency Operations Center. Miller called Olivia and ordered her to go in his place, but she refused because the president would expect Miller to answer if he contacted the bunker, and she could not be the one pulled out of the line while the GBIs were preparing to intercept the incoming threat. With no other choice, Miller left with the designated group, leaving Olivia in command. She immediately tried calling her husband, unaware that he was already at the hospital with Liam. The Operations Center soon released an EKV, confirming that the first interceptor had deployed successfully while the second failed to separate. The Situation Room verified the failure and tracked the remaining EKV as it continued toward the incoming nuclear threat. Davis asked why they were not launching more interceptors, and Olivia reminded him that the United States only had 50 GBIs and they had to be preserved in case additional warheads were launched. Tried to calm him by saying that everything would be over in a moment and he would still get the ring after this, telling him that when he looked back on the day, this moment would feel like the most intense thing he had ever lived through. They watched the telemetry until it was confirmed that the interceptor missed, leaving the object on course. The room tensed as the alert level reached DEFCON 1. New calculations showed the trajectory heading directly for Chicago with a probability of impact at 100%, and the reality of the population at risk pushed the entire room into panic. Olivia stood frozen as the timer dropped to 7 minutes. Danny rushed out of the room in shock, while Davis informed Olivia that Russia was calling, specifically the foreign minister trying to reach the president. When Olivia picked up, she introduced herself and attempted to connect him, but Davis explained that merging calls was impossible because the president was on the national command system while Russia was on the hotline, and Stratcom was already requesting retaliation instructions. Olivia apologized for the technical delay and promised to get someone who could speak with him, then handed Davis her keys so he could retrieve their cell phones from security. Meanwhile, Lizzie notified Kathy that a car was waiting outside because she had been placed on the designated evacuee list. While Davis retrieved the phone, Olivia received word that Beijing Station reported the PSC was convening an emergency session. Jake called in demanding to be placed back on the National Security Conference, explaining that Russia denied involvement and blamed Pyongyang, and that their mobilization was triggered by B-2 aircraft taking flight. Kathy hurried out of the building as her escort arrived. Davis returned with the phone, and Olivia immediately called her husband, instructing him to take Liam and drive west as fast as he could, away from every urban center. When he asked what was happening, she could only tell him that she loved him before ending the call and forcing herself not to break down. Brady entered and asked for an update, and the team briefed him on the undetermined missile launch detected over the Pacific, while the designated officials were preparing for the National Security Conference. Before the chaos began, Jake, the Deputy National Security Advisor, was in the car with his pregnant wife when he received an urgent call from Brady. Realizing how serious the situation was, he stepped out of the car and sprinted toward his office, knowing the country was moments away from a potential catastrophe. Once inside, he briefed the team, explaining that once their kill vehicle separated, the mid-course intercept system carried only a 61% success rate, a number that offered little comfort under the circumstances. He laid out every possible scenario tied to the attack, and later joined a direct line to the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, where he was connected to the president. Jake recommended contacting Anna Park, the National Intelligence Officer for the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, because she could offer deeper insight into North Korea's intentions and capabilities. When Anna joined the call, she admitted she had been on leave and did not have fresh intelligence. But she explained that North Korea had been seeking sea-based launch capabilities and had deployed a modified Romeo-class submarine 2 years earlier. The president asked why they would pursue such a system, and Anna emphasized that the regime's primary motivation was self-preservation, especially with Russia under immense pressure and aligning closer with Beijing. When Jake told her the satellite had missed the launch, Anna revealed that the Chinese Navy had recently experimented with an artificial intelligence-assisted launch system, suggesting the incident could be a technical malfunction. The president dismissed the line of questioning as unhelpful and ended the call. Meanwhile, the Russian foreign minister remained on the hotline demanding to speak with the president, but the technical system still could not connect them. Miller instructed Jake to speak on behalf of the president, and when Jake took the call, the minister warned that multiple warheads were flying overhead. Jake responded by stressing that they were trying to de-escalate because the United States was under imminent threat from an unprecedented attack that they had nothing to do with. He asked the minister directly if Russia was involved, and the minister insisted they had no part in it. The minister then threatened that if the United States used this as justification for a strike, Russia would be forced to respond. Jake countered by saying they had detected a submarine off the Russian coast operating in a hidden shadow and demanded that it surface for identification. The minister accused them of wanting to destroy it, but Jake pushed, explaining that they were running out of time and that if Russia had not launched anything, they needed a gesture of trust. He asked the minister to stand down Russia's long-range assets. After a tense silence, the minister said he would take the request to his president. Elsewhere, Baker learned that the projected impact zone was Chicago, and panic overtook him when he realized his daughter was there. He asked his secretary if any facility in Chicago had aircraft that could be used, ordering her to find his daughter and evacuate her immediately. He attempted to call her, but she did not answer. Desperate, he left her a message telling her to call back at once because it was an emergency while he continued trying to reach her. Meanwhile, the president was pulled away from a public event at a basketball game the moment news of the ICBM launch reached his team. As he was rushed toward Marine One, Lieutenant Reeves opened the nuclear options book, prompting the president to ask what exactly he was looking at. Elsewhere, Baker finally reached his daughter. She told him she was going out and nervously admitted she had a boyfriend, a revelation that briefly warmed Baker despite the terror unfolding. Moments after the call ended, his bodyguard told him they needed to evacuate immediately. Back with the president, he and Lieutenant Reeves boarded the helicopter as it lifted off. Reeves explained that the book contained 89 targets, primarily military installations and command sites, The president asked how they could ensure they would not be hit again, and Reeves said the plan assumed the enemy's target list was incomplete. But by eliminating their most critical command centers, they could slow or even disrupt further launches. The president interrupted, saying such a move could provoke them further. Reeves made the sign of the cross, and the president quietly asked whether God gave him any answers. The president insisted that if they didn't fire, a nuclear war wouldn't begin. But Reeves countered that doing nothing meant the attackers would get away with it. When they reached the rooftop, the helicopter waited, but Baker walked past it, stepped toward the edge, and jumped from the building, ending his life. As the shock rippled through the chain of command, the president received a call from Jake, who explained that he had just spoken to the Russian foreign minister and that Russia continued to deny responsibility. Jake believed them, adding that if the United States guaranteed they would not retaliate, Russia would stand down their forces as well. The president asked if Jake expected them to simply watch Chicago get incinerated and assume the American people would accept that. Jake insisted the warhead might still malfunction, but the president pushed further, asking whether the Russian minister had agreed to anything. Jake admitted he hadn't. The minister only said he would speak with his president. Time was running out. They had 2 minutes and 3 seconds before impact. The president called the First Lady, who was in Africa, telling her what was happening as the line crackled. He confessed that everyone wanted him to retaliate, and he didn't know what to do. But the connection broke before she could answer. Struggling under the weight of the moment, he hesitated. Advisors urged him to remove his SAS card and read out the launch codes to confirm the National Command Authority. And once authenticated, everyone waited for his word, but the president remained frozen in thought. Back on the ground, civilians were being rushed into the underground nuclear bunker at Raven Rock as Chicago braced for impact. The countdown approached 0, and the film closed on the final seconds, setting up the next chapter of the story. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.